Hello everyone, welcome to stage 2 of this training. In this lesson, we'll be talking about the concept of PIPS. The concept of PIPS. So what does PIP mean? Simply means point in percentage. It is the bedrock of everything we do in Forex. See, PIP is very, very important. You need to understand how to calculate PIPS so as to understand perfectly how to enter your trade and to exit your trade. Because it is the smallest unit in Forex. It's like the cell of Forex. Now, the definition of PIP is simple. It is a standardized unit and the smallest amount by which a currency pair in Forex markets can change. Let me give you an example. Let's say someone just asks you to measure the length of your room. You can either measure in centimeter, meter, feet, and so on. And anywhere in the world, if they tell you something is 10 centimeter, it is 10 centimeter everywhere in the world because it is a standard measurement. The same thing applies to PIP. PIP is the standard measurement for Forex. So if a currency pair like increases in value for about 10 pips, 10 pips here is 10 pips everywhere in the world in this Forex business. So it's the smallest amount by which a currency pair can change. It is like the cell of Forex. You know what cell means? Cell is the smallest unit in the body. So let's get to the calculation of pips now. For most currency pairs, you calculate pips from the fourth decimal place. For most currency pairs, you calculate pips from the fourth decimal place. Let me give you an example. Let's let's just take euros to USD as an example. Let's say the current value for euros to USD is 1.1073. If this is the current value of euros to USD, and we are saying this particular currency pair has increased by 5 pips. So if the value of this currency pair increased by 5 pips, the new value for euros USD would not be would not be this exact 1.1073. The new value is going to be 1.1073 plus 5, right? And remember I said you calculate PIP from the fourth decimal place, and from our basic mathematics we know that fourth decimal place is 1, 2, 3, right? So the fourth decimal place would be 3 here from our basic mathematics. So you calculate pips from the what? From the fourth decimal place. So the new value here would be what? Would be 1.1073 plus 5. You add it to the fourth decimal place. So the new value is going to be what? 3 plus 5 will give us 8. Then 7, 0, 1. So the new value is going to be 1.1078. Let's say, let me give you an example. Let's say it increased 20 pips, 1.1073, and it increased 20 pips. So the new value is going to be what? So the new value for this is going to be what? The reason why we are adding 20 like this is because you start calculating pips from the fourth decimal place. So since 3 is the fourth decimal place for this value, 3 is the fourth decimal place. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So 3 is the fourth decimal place. Then, because the value we are adding, the total number of pips that was added is what? 20 pips. So you add 20, you add 0 to the 3 and 2 to the 7. So the new value will be what? 3, 9, 0, So the new value will be 1.1093. Are you with me? Let's take another example. Let's say the value of euros USD. The value of euro USD is 1.1073, and it increased. Let's say it decreases. Let's say the value of euros USD reduces by, let's say 30 pips. Let's just say 30 pips. 3 pips. So the new value for euros USD would be what? Would be what? 1.1070, because it has reduced in value. That means you are going to subtract 3 from the 4th decimal place. Let's take another example. Let's say euros USD is 1.1073, and it reduces by 7 pips. The new value is going to be what? It's going to be what? The new value is going to be the new value is going to be 3 is smaller than 7 from our basic arithmetic. 3 is smaller than 7. So you borrow 1 from here, you add it here. So that means 7 minus 13 would give us 6. Then 7 here, because you borrowed 1 root, turn to what? 6. So 6, 0. Please don't mind my writing. 1, 1. So the new value is going to be what? 1.1066. So it's quite simple. Let's say you checked your chart and you saw that euros USD is 1.1073 here, and you came back and you discovered that the value for euros USD is now 1.1066. Definitely it should tell you that euros USD has reduced in value. That means the value of euros has dropped. The value of euros has what? Has dropped. By how many pips? By 7 pips. So it's that easy. You calculate from the what? From the 4th decimal place. You calculate from the 4th decimal place. You calculate from the 4th decimal place. Now, there are exemptions to this. You don't calculate all currency pair from the 4th decimal place. There are some exemptions to this. Part of the exemption is JPY pairs. For JPY pairs, you calculate from the 2nd decimal place. You calculate it from the 2nd decimal place. So let's take, for example, this is the value for euros USD to JPY, US dollars to Japanese yen. This is the value here, 107,791. So the value here is 107.791, and you calculate from the what? From the 2nd decimal place, because it is a JPY pair. You calculate from the 2nd decimal place. So 1, then 2. You calculate, that means you calculate from what? From 9. So let's say it reduces by 2 pips. You just drop it here. You get 7, 7, 1, 7, 0, 1. So that means you've gotten 107.771. That means the value of USD to JPY has reduced 2 pips, has dropped 2 pips. What if the value of euros USD now increases by, let's say it increases by 5 pips? So where are you going to add the 5? You are going to add the 5 to the 2nd decimal place. You You're going to add a 5 to the second decimal place. So what are you going to get? The new value you're going to get is 107.841, right? So that means you've added 5 to the second decimal place to give you this new value. So it is quite easy. For JPY you know that you are calculating it from the second decimal place. You are calculating the pips from the second decimal place. And JPY pairs are plenty. You have USD to JPY, Euros to JPY, GBP to JPY, AUD to JPY, NZD to JPY. So any of these, you calculate it from the second decimal place. Now, for currency pair like gold, gold is categorized under metal, and gold is represented on your metal 4 by XAU USD. So anytime you see XAU USD, you should know that you are dealing with gold in that kind of situation. So you calculate gold from the first decimal place. You calculate gold from the first decimal place. So let me give you an example here. The value of gold, according to this screenshot, this is XAU USD right here. The value of gold here is what? 141282. XAU USD equals 1412.82. And according to the PIPS calculation, we said you calculate from the first decimal place. So this would give, this 8 right here would be the first decimal place, right? So if the value of gold increases by 2 pips, let's say the value of gold increases by 2 pips, the new value for gold would be what? 1412, no, it will be 13 now, 0.02. The new value for gold will be 1413.02. Let's say it increases by, 15 pips. 15 pips, and you know that you are calculating from the first decimal place. So you add 5 to the first decimal place, and you add 1. And you add 1 to these 2 right here, because you are dealing with 2 digits here. So the new value for gold in this kind of situation will be what? 1413. 8 plus 5 would give us 13. Okay, let's do it like this. First, you write this last digit 2, then you write 8 plus 5 will give us 13, 3. Then you take 1 to this other side. This one will turn to 4. Then 1, 4, 1. So the new value is going to be 1414.32. 1414.32. So that will be the new value of gold. That means gold has increased 15 pips. What if gold now reduces by 15 pips? If gold reduces by 15 pips, the value for gold. So this one would give us 1411.8 minus 5 will give us 3, 2. So the new value will be 1411.32. So that will be the new value of gold. So gold is calculated from the first decimal place. Don't forget, JPY pairs is calculated from the second decimal place, and for other currency pairs, you calculate them from what? You calculate them from the fourth decimal place. From the fourth decimal place. I want you to take time to go through this lesson again and understand the basic calculation for pips. You can easily check back and watch this video again, all over again, and you can pick some of these figures right here and try out how to calculate pips. Try different numbers, try 100, try 200, Try 15, try 12, try 13, try any numbers so that you can, master these things. You don't just, these things don't just come to you easily. These things don't just come to you easily. You are new to the system. So get used to it. Get used to calculating pips so that by the time you start actively trading, by the time you start trading actively, you won't have issues, calculating the number of pips, calculating where you want your profit to get to, or where you want your stop, your loss to stop. Are you with me? So that will be all for today's lesson. If you have questions based on the calculation of pips that we've talked about, just don't hesitate to send me an email or just send a message to our WhatsApp line, and trust me, you are going to get a quick response. Thank you for today. See you in the next video.